I think we did it. I think we're actually live. And basically on time. Let me share this with the Discord people. People are already here. Tyrion, you have amazing news. What is your amazing news? Hi, Pastel and Fethy and Funny Caddy and Fazbear Entertainment and Crosscore and Strategy Zach and Lacey. Moving marker. It's a good video, but Tom is losing his cool. Honestly, I live to see Tom lose his cool. Let's do that. Let's watch Tom go nuts. I could not decide what to do today. I honestly, I was just like, do I want to play a game or what? But frankly, I have not been able to let myself consume FNAF content as of late. I don't know what it is, but every time I see a FNAF video in my recommended, I'm like, I should watch that, and then don't. I've not caught up on Rye, on Game Theory. I haven't even watched John's video. So no spoilers, please. I haven't watched anything. I haven't watched anything. You got candy corn. Let's go. Who are my candy corn lovers in the chat? Do we like candy corn or no? Do you like candy corn? We're doing a poll. I don't even care. Yes or no? Who are my candy corn people? We know how Tyrion feels. Crosscourt, like, that's the way I'm not having fun. I feel that way. I'm being too analytical. This is something I have said before. I'll say it again, and I'll probably say it again after today. But never had it. I'm sorry, I didn't think about never had it. My bad. Imagine candy corn to me is like if crayons taste good when you ate them. I mean, that's a correct assessment in my opinion. If you could eat crayons, candy corn. And don't make fun of the way I say crayon either. I don't want to hear it. It's crayon. I don't care. That's how it's spelled. I've eaten a crayon. Who are my crayon eaters? Where are the people in my chat who have also eaten crayons? Necco wafers opinions? I feel like they're pretty bland, but I don't dislike them. Like, if you handed me one, I'm not gonna not eat it. Thank you, Jacob. There are edible crayons? Where? What? Anyway. Okay. Back in the day, before I made FNAF content, and I consumed it all, and I felt great. And I just took it all in. But now that I'm in, like, that theorizing mindset, every time I watch a ding-dang video, I can't turn my brain off. And, I feel like I've lost some of the magic. So, I'm in a transformative state. And this may make me less popular, which I was already barely hanging on by a thread in that category. But I'm just like, I'm not interested in, like, I'm just not interested in spending so much time picking apart everything about everybody's thoughts about Five Nights at Freddy's. I just want to talk about what I like and what I don't like and move on. Because like I've come to terms with the fact that like solving FNAF is a death trap. It's just like it's a fun sucker. It's a fun sucker. Actually, for me. This is a personal opinion. This is not, I don't think that other people feel this way necessarily or have to feel or should feel. But like, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so much more fun just thinking about it without it being serious and just like not putting that much stock into it. So I honestly, Possum would just, I mean, I think if Amanda the Adventurer and FNAF did a crossover, that would be great. Okay, thank you, Web. Strategy, yes. Yes, that is how I have been. Yeah, I just think I need to like I just need I have to I think I was like I have to stop myself from trying to solve FNAF long enough to just let other people do it. Candy pumpkins are supreme. Candy pumpkins are supreme. Pibble for real. Honestly, 14 carats, so true. I agree. I love Rise podcast. Okay, I've done enough warm up. Um, where yes, we're talking about we're gonna watch John. We're gonna watch Tom's game theory about MXES today, and but before that, I got some blind box Sanshi guys to open. And I wanted to do it on stream with you guys. So let me put on my let me put autofocus on so that I can get to you guys. So these are blind boxes. I got them from Sanchi because oh my gosh, Tyrion, thank you. This is for the Candy Corn Fund. Not sponsored, no. Because I got the new, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. I got the new, I'm just going to pick this up. Ignore my house. I got the new Glitch Trap, or sorry, Spring Bonnie Sanchi plush. So I got these little blind boxes as well. And they're just little tickets. Hold on. Hello. They're little tickets. Collect them all. And so they're I don't know which ones we're going to get. So we're going to open these. He is a little freak and I do love him. I love Sanchi, and I just have a problem. I have a problem that I refuse to solve, that I just love Sanchi stuff. So we're going to open it. Ugh. Hello, autofocus, do your job. Am I stupid? Why is it, what even is it trying to focus on that's not this? There we go. Okay. What are we gonna get? Oh, okay. Ooh, oh, cute. Ready? Oh my God, you're joking! You are joking! We freaking got the secret! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Focus! You are kidding! What? Focus on this stupid ticket? What the heck? I'm actually screaming. Guys, I will get it to focus, I swear. Go away. Everything else, go away. Oh my gosh. Golden Freddy cannot be perceived. Hold on. Longitude closed. Okay. Get in here. There it is. There it is. You have got to be kidding me. I saw it be a little yellow. I thought it was going to be Chica. That is crazy! Well, the second one's going to be anticlimactic. Dude! Super rare. Never in a million years did I think I was going to get the freaking Golden Freddy. You want an actual trip to Freddy Fazbear's. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Wolfbetter. That's so sweet of you. Dude, are you joking? Oh my god. I forgot to turn off I turned off auto exposure. That's why it was being so bright. I'm so sorry, guys. What the heck? Okay, well, the second one's going to be anticlimactic now, but here is the second one. I'm going to open it. I do love, okay, when you open it up, I didn't know this was going to happen, but like there's like a little surprise, so when you pull it out, it's still a blind box. Okay. Flip it over. Okay, the only other rare one is the cupcake. So we'll see if we got two rares, if we get a common. We got a Foxy! Oh, I actually really love that. I wasn't even thinking of Foxy as one that I like, but I kind of just love how red and bright that is. That's gorgeous. Oh my god. Okay. I can't believe we got a golden ticket, literally, guys. Willy Wonka who? Willy Wonka who? Okay. There they are. These are so stinking cute. Are there any green ones? No. I'll show you what they all are. I cannot believe we got a Golden Freddy. Oh. And the art on them is gorgeous. Oh, thank you, Tyrion. You were so kind. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll show you all the ones there are. If you want to get your own, they're on Sanchi. Not sponsored. I'm just... So, Foxy, Bonnie, which is like a purple. Freddy and Chica are all the commons. So you're most likely to get one of these. The cupcake is rare. And then the super rare is Golden Freddy. And, yeah, so no green, unfortunately. But if they make more of these, honestly, I will buy more. Because those, it says Series 1. So it's possible that we'll get more. You said, I thought they might be cheap, but I never should have doubted Sanchi. No. Oh my god. These are actually really lovely quality, too. They're, like, thick and metal. I don't know if you can hear. But that's not just the golden one. They're both like metallic and pretty good size. Oh my god. What a cool start to the stream. I, like, literally, I'm gonna lose my mind. That is the coolest thing ever. Are they worth $14 US? Here's me, okay? If I'm not, again, I'm not sponsored. Would I just buy these? No. But because they had a new plush, I was like, I'll go ahead and add these to it. And it didn't feel too pricey. I also had a 15 or 20% off coupon or something. So, I got it a little bit at a discount, but, I don't know. I feel like $10 would be a little bit more fair of a price for these, but 14 is kind of, I feel like, standard for, like, blind box things, right? Like, somewhere between $15 and $20, because there is the chase. Yeah. Does the Golden Freddy ticket have 14? I'll read the number. You guys are gonna lose your minds. Yeah. Somebody tell Nero right now The number on the Golden Freddy ticket is 0148763. Somebody screen cap this and send it to Nero right now. You wanted the plush, but it sold out. Oh, Terminal, I'm so sorry. Nero, look. Did we summon you? Look! Look! Look. This. Is this crazy or what? Is that crazy or what? Oops, upside down. That is absolutely wild. So these are blind boxes, and I got the super rare, and I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. It has 87 Cassidy died in 87 confirmed. The lore of it all, honey. You said I'll pay $100 for that? It's mine. Let me look and see if all the numbers are the same. They're not. So all the numbers are different. The Foxy does have a 83, I think, on it. Yeah. Foxy's ends at 83. So if it for some reason doesn't like Foxy, does not want to focus on Foxy, got it. Hello? There we go. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. 747-283. Who knows if that means anything? Okay, everybody, just so you know, Nero will give you $100 if you have a Golden Freddy. Oh my god. That is crazy. Oh my god. Okay, so the consensus is most people like candy corn. That's lovely. And, I don't know. I feel like I have this, like, displayed somewhere. Here. My wolf back here can hold it. I know you guys won't be able to see it, but it's there. Literally saw that and screamed. Isn't that nuts? What a cool, like, do you think they did that? Do you think that Sanchi people know? Do you think the Sanchi people know? Do you think Scott tells them anything? Do you think they, like, play around in the world of Five Nights at Freddy's? Okay. They, yeah, you can see it on their website. Well, Nero, I hope you're able to get one. I don't know if I could part with it. I've never gotten a rare anything before. But just because we're looking at this, I'm gonna show you guys what the rest of the numbers are, because I'm like, you know, why not? So we'll look here. Real quick, just so you can see, Freddy's number is 7873239. Kind of not really anything off the top of my head that sounds lore worthy. Yes, buy some. Support Sanchi. They're only $14. And then Bonnie is 7625066. Again, nothing really crazy. 1375347. Chica. I don't really see anything there. But it's interesting that Foxy's ends in 83. 0747283. The Cupcake is 2872253. And then Golden Freddy. $14? 14 Theory! Oh my god. I do not stay winning on blind boxes. Dude, you said Gabriel died early. I'm done. But the fact that, I mean, like, you know, call it what you will. 14, then 87 right next to each other makes you wonder what 63 means. Oops. But anyway, I just live. I live for that. That's crazy. What a start. Okay. We should get into the video now. I've been streaming for 20 minutes. It's about time. Is everyone here? Have you got your snacks? Have you got your drinks? Have you got your senses, your wits about you? We are going to chat. How do we top that opening? Hey, I am so glad I waited to open those on stream because I legit have been sitting on that for a while. I've had these for a hot minute and just haven't opened them on stream yet. So I'm excited that I remembered to do that today. That was so fun. All right. Okay. Please tell me if it is too quiet. Please tell me if it is too quiet, if it is too loud. Please tell me. I want to know. And yeah, let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and like the video because I don't even need to watch it to know that I like it. Aw, Burp, thank you. Asked my friend group out and they said yes. Also, my Soviet physics teacher told us today his colleague met Oppenheimer. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for the super chat. I hope you and your friend group have fun. All right. Hope we're ready. It's time to go.
FNAF's Secret of the Mimic has finally solved Security Breach. Thanks to the inclusion of the Mimic's backstory, we now have the answers that we have been dying to understand for years. What is the Mimic's goal? What is the deal with MXES? And why was the lore of Security Breach so confusing in the first place? You know, besides the whole Scott not telling Steelwool the story thing.
I thought I could do that without telling Steelwool the story plot.
Embarrassing. Huge L. Huge Scott L. L's in chat for Scott.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show that has ingested so much FNAF lore, it too has chosen violence. That's right, today we're tackling the second main character in our three-part Secret of the Mimic extravaganza, the Mimic. Although I say that, as I was writing this episode, one thing became very clear. There is way too much to say about this character to fit in just one episode, and so I'm gonna add a bonus fourth episode to our lineup. Today we're gonna focus on the Mimic's past and present, and next time, its future. That also puts our very special FNAF Theorist Live Talkback on August 16th at 2 p.m. EST. So mark your calendars, folks, and hit the subscribe button before the Mimic comes and gets ya. Sorry I miscalculated, but hey, Steelwool is still calling it Five Nights at Freddy's when all of their games take place in just one night, so...
Hey. Chill out.
Oh look, the Mimic! It's here! Did you not hit the subscribe button like I asked? Seriously? I suppose you still have some time, but while you do that, let's actually talk about this one-of-a-kind villain. Well, actually, despite me referring to it as the Mimic this whole time, the one key thing Secret of the Mimic was very clear about, it's really not one-of-a-kind at all. Which, to be fair, is something we've been believing for a while now. In Tales from the Pizzaplex, we see two versions of the Mimic. The Mimic 1 program, which was the Mimic software that Edwin Murray created to put into a half-finished endoskeleton to play with his son David, which was then later used by Fazbear in The Storyteller, and then there's the Mimic 2, which was Fazbear's improvements on the original design, creating an endoskeleton that could...
Are you saying the Mimic 2 is the Tangle? That's like the opposite of how I feel. Do you think we'll get five-part FNAF game theory videos eventually? I mean, this is basically that. Exactly, Seeker. Why does he have it visualized like that?
which was Fazbear's improvements on the original design, creating an endoskeleton that could change its shape and size to fit any costume or animatronic. However, how all of that tied into things like Security Breach and Ruin were pretty speculative, especially as we didn't even know if the book stories were in the same continuity and whether we could rely on them wholesale or not. My personal theory was that yes, those two mimics were indeed present in Security Breach, with the Mimic 2
I think that using the tangle as a visual for Mimic 2 is really confusing. Like, I don't know, maybe it is. It's just like really not the way that I like interpret that character, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Maybe I shouldn't get so caught up on it, but I kind of am, just because I'm like, he hasn't, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know this is technically the part 2 of video, but I don't remember him saying anything in part 1 about, like, theorizing that the Tangle is the Mimic 2. Because Mimic 2 isn't murderous, right? Like, be honest. I know it jump scares us in Security Breach, but it's not murderous. It's not coming after us. It's kind of vibing. Oh, Seeker, maybe that's that vibe. I mean, right. I'm overthinking it, right? I'm overthinking it. I'm overthinking it. I'm overthinking it. But maybe it's just because I've thought about the Tangle so much. Oh my gosh, Nero. I hope you get the super rare. I hope you get it. I'm sending you all my good vibes. I'll rub Golden Freddy's head for you. You know what I mean? Buddha style. I'll rub his tummy. I'll boop his nose for you. I'll boop Golden Freddy's nose for you. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry.
My personal theory was that yes, those 2 mimics were indeed present in Security Breach, with the Mimic 2 being the physical endoskeleton we find in the basement of Ruin, and the Mimic 1 program being what we now know as Glitch Trap.
Got it. I understand. He's making it. He immediately made it make more sense. Honestly, Nero, here's the deal. If it's more financially responsible for you to open them on stream, because you can call it a tax write-off, because you're making content with it, and maybe you'll make your money back in donations and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, not to be a capitalist about it, not to be an opportunist about it, but it is more financially responsible to do it on stream. Okay, anyway. Okay. So he's saying Mimic 1 is Glitch Trap. Mimic 2 is the Mimic that we find downstairs. Got it. Which I think is a valid way of looking at it. I think that's fair enough. I think that's fair enough.
Taking over Fazbear's systems and using it to manipulate people into doing its bidding, like Helpy does to Cassie in Ruin, which is why we get this interaction between Helpy and the totally real Gregory arguing.
I took care of it.
The area is safe now.
But now we do have a definitive backstory for the Mimic inside the game continuity. It turns out that yes, there are indeed 2 in-game Mimics, but there are some key differences from their book counterparts, and that drastically changes our entire understanding of Security Breach, Ruin, and the program that was trying to keep the Mimic underground, MXES. So hop into that definitely working elevator, friends, as we plummet down into the depths of Murray's Costume Manor to discover the real secret of the Mimic. So
okay, that just made me realize that, yeah, elevators in this game don't work. We are regularly faced with out of order elevators. Don't like, or, you know, just in general, elevators are a theme in Five Nights at Freddy's. Maybe we should make a video. I'm kidding. Okay. So Tom is surmising, and I think this is fair, that Mimic 2 is the murderous one, right? Mimic 1 is not necessarily murderous, but manipulative, which I think is interesting. Car accidents too. You got that right. Yes, 14 carats. Secret of the Mimic changed nothing for the lore for you. I mean, hey, I think that's fair. It's so early in the timeline, there's a number of things that it really can't affect because it would be crazy for it. But, yeah. Yeah, Pastel, I think that's valid. Yeah. I think it shouldn't be retconning anything. It should just be expanding upon things, which I think that's the correct way to go in my opinion. Okay. So, sorry, let me just reiterate. Mimic 1 is manipulative, not necessarily murderous, but has a goal that it is trying to reach, and it's willing to lie, cheat, steal its way to get there. And and M2 is running a lot more basic sort of like murderous, potentially trying to follow just a program, potentially imbued with some kind of agony remnant, something that makes it have a more murderous drive to it. Could be a combination of both. We don't know.
What does this game actually tell us about the game universe's version of the Mimic? Well, like most things in this game, it's similar but different to what we were expecting. Edwin does create the original Mimic, M1, to babysit David.
Think of it as your new babysitter, but it doesn't get paid and go home. It'll stay with us and help around the house.
But he also states that it was created to work inside multiple costumes.
It'll wear fun costumes. It can fit into any costume we've created.
Essentially, the game's lore has combined the purposes of the books M1 and M2 into one creation and attributed all of it to Edwin, rather than one being a Fazbear creation, just like basically everything in this game. But this M1 also develops a little
Whoa. Not Edwin's OC. Not Edwin. Fiona. Get it straight. Get it straight. Did you just see that?
creation, just like basically every.
Incorrect. Thomas, Tomothy. That's Fiona's. Not Edwin's. Okay.
In this game. But this M1 also develops a little more
honor to her name. Erasing women in STEM.
Someone that sounds like her.
That's good, honey, but then from the party.
M1 begins showing signs of mimicking the deceased wife of its creator, literally mimicking the role of David's primary caretaker, his mother, Fiona. As we discussed last time, Fiona tragically died in a fire at Fall Fest, and this totally destroys Edwin's mental state.
I can't do this alone.
So, naturally, when he starts thinking he's hearing the voice of his wife, he leans in hard. By David's last birthday, M1 is still not wearing any costumes like Edwin said it would, but instead it is mimicking Fiona perfectly. Baking a cake, hanging decorations, all of that good stuff.
I baked it myself for David's special day.
This is where Edwin's second tragedy strikes. M1 Fiona goes down to get David while everyone is waiting to celebrate him, only for them to discover that David is dead. Again, Edwin is destroyed by this. But this time, M1 Fiona is here, and she has a quick and easy solution.
You need to try again. Build another.
The two go back and forth over this for a while, but eventually Edwin gives in and begins attempting to make a new mimic that will mimic his dead son.
That is the truly frightening thing of all this, is that I've talked about the possibility that M1 is a Silver Eyes Charlie bot situation where she's not really possessed, or it's not really possessed by the soul, spirit, whatever, of Fiona, but that it's Edwin's guilt, shame, grief, and all that stuff onto or that's been imbued into the robot, and that's why it acts like Fiona. The same way that the Ella doll is not necessarily haunted, right, with Charlie's spirit in the Silver Eyes trilogy, but that Henry poured his grief into it. So the idea that his grief manifest would then, like, kind of take hold of him again in this capacity and be like, just build another robot? That's kind of scary. I don't know. It's giving very HAL 9000, right? I think it's mentioned that to everyone except Edwin, it's obviously not the real Fiona. It's just mimicking the perfect Fiona, the perfect housewife, who never agrees or talks back or anything. Jan, when is that mentioned? I mean, sorry, I'm not doubting you. I just don't remember. And the only reason I am asking is because I do remember a computer log that says that the guy, one of the workers, can hear Fiona's voice and then assumes that Edwin and Fiona faked her death for the insurance money. Evan. So true. I wonder if we're just assuming that's when David passed and if that's a false association because of the books again. Just because, yeah, I would say based on the messages that you find in the game that is when he dies. It being specifically based on his perception or grief of Fiona could even explain why it acts more like an agreeable housewife than Fiona ever did. Yes. And that's kind of my point, is that, and this is something I'm trying so hard to find ways to articulate this into a video, because for so long we've been associating Five Nights at Freddy's with spirits in the way that we talk about them. But it feels like, at least in modern FNAF, you know, I won't speak to the MCI, that it is more of a strong emotions-based thing. That these intense feelings and find themselves inhabiting objects. It is never said that he dies, just that he's no longer in the picture. So, Tyrion, in that vein, then, what would happen to David? Is he just, like, did he just leave? I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard. But welcome in, Theory. Secret of the Mimic is my second favorite, surprisingly subtextually feminist video game after Shin Megami. I've never played that, but nice. Oh no, too many ads. I can turn them down, I think, potentially. Can I? I can. Let me just hit them at a... We'll just do it every 18 minutes. We'll do one. We'll do that. Want a break from the ads? No. Okay. So, ads every hour. I gotta make a little bit of money. I get paid like pennies. Pastel, don't worry. I've been doing balanced on YouTube because it's recommended lately, but because nobody has said anything until now. I'm always I hate being overly interrupted by ads, and I will fully click off of a video if there's too much going on. So I definitely appreciate if someone lets me know that the ads are getting too crazy, because I would rather turn them down. Like, I would rather show you less and keep you having a good time than trying to, you know, scrape as much money out of the people who are willing to watch a million ads. You know, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. But seriously, don't complain, or don't think it's. I would rather you guys complain about something that's bothering you. I promise. Even if sometimes I do get a little silly about it, but I don't let it bother me. Okay, here it is. I was like, someone asked me a question. Glamrock Freddy asks, Nervous, do you think David got crushed by Sleepy Moon? I think that's a really good theory. I don't know what I think, but I guess I would have to, like, have somebody, I would need somebody to do, like, a crime scene recreation moment for me to show me how he was playing on the playground that is fenced in, got out of that playground and into that area where the Sleepy Moon would have been to crush him. Because I like the idea. I like the theory. I think that things about, you know, like, I think it's fair. I don't think it's a bad thought, but I think there's just some pieces missing in my head for me to say, like, I believe that. It's really weird how it's not fenced in on the outside. What? Is it not? There's a suspiciously child-sized hole in the fence? Okay, maybe I've missed things. I didn't actually watch all of Candy Bunny's video about it. like I said at the beginning, I've been really struggling to get through theory videos because I'm thinking about them too much instead of just having fun. The child-sized fence hole has to be intentional. Fair enough, fair enough. I mean, I don't think that's crazy. Okay. I'm getting lost in the sauce here. We gotta get back into the video. I just realized that I didn't turn autofocus and auto exposure back off because I don't like them. I don't like it to be auto because it bothers me. Okay. Okay, so just to recap where we are in the video because it's been a minute, I've been chitty-chatty. Edwin is building or trying to build Mimic 2 at the behest of Mimic 1.
However, it doesn't really seem to be working.
Every copy has failed. I don't even know why it worked the first time, but it did.
The only reference Edwin has for the Mimic idea working is M1, which leads to Edwin's final gambit. In one of the text logs we receive after meeting M1 Fiona during the parachute ending, it says, the M2 began as a copy of my program. This log has been sent by M1 to Edwin's machine. In order to make M2 work, Edwin simply made a copy of her programming. I guess if you can't figure out how it worked the first time, just duplicate the thing that already works. And it does work. It's just a little too much for Edwin to handle.
Not him. You're not. Stop sounding like him.
This moment is what turned M2 into the killing machine we now find in the game, and its first victim, the man who tried to destroy it.
Due to a minor detonation, there is damage to my office interior.
And that is essentially everything we know from the game itself. It's unclear exactly what happens next to get us to Security Breach and Ruin. It's gonna depend heavily on which ending is canon and what happens in the inevitable DLC that Steelworld does for all of their FNAF games. Personally, my money's on the DLC being about Fall Fest. I proved last time that the game takes place in September 1979, so Fall Fest would likely be in full swing, and the Mimic is free in every ending. But regardless of whether I'm right about that, one thing
I didn't think about that. I did not think about the Mimic going to Fall Fest. It being kind of like, well, what the FNAF 2 movie seems to be showing. How interesting is that? The FNAF 2 movie shows the toys going to a festival. I didn't think about the Mimic being free and going to Fall Fest for the DLC, like as the... Interesting. And that's how it gets burned. Duh. Theory. No, you're not wrong, though. Well, you know what? Yeah, because and David would have loved Fall Fest, too. So if it's got David memories and Fiona memories, Fall Fest would be the place that it would go. Duh. Jeez. Mimicking a fire juggler. Crazy. It has to get back to MCM to get locked under the Pizzaplex. Does it? Does it have to get back to Murray's Costume Manor? Or does it just have to get back in the hands of Fazbear Entertainment? Evan, my bad. I will continue to get canceled. I really didn't like how they decided... Thank you, Tarian. I really didn't like how they decided to show us the Mimic's beating. Like it's completely miserable. And the VA performance, and it just rubs me wrong. Oh, like it's completely missable. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I misread the text. My bad. So you wish this was a little more obvious? Is that's what I'm gathering? And I do agree that the voice actor performance, sorry, we should have done another take on that. Like, I am so, like, this is no shade to the Edwin's voice actor. He was great. He was great. And he had a lot of range there. But when he was specifically asked to pretend to destroy the mimic, it was not it. It was not there. It was not there for me emotionally. I need more, I needed more, Foley. I needed more Foley. I needed to hear like, like I really needed to hear that, like, horrible, like electrical, like being pulled apart, like crunching metal. I needed a lot more of that. And you can call it dark, but this is a dark story. I don't know, like I don't think that would have been. It's also a, you know, for all intents and purposes, a robot, so I don't think it would have been bad for them to show us, you know, that in a more in a different way. The voice acting when he beat the mimic wasn't great. I imagine him losing it. Yeah. Yes, Tyrion. Yes. More anguish. Yes. Look how hard I'm swinging at empty air. I'm so mad. Yeah, it wasn't it. Exactly, Evan. I agree. It wasn't it. I like that was unfortunate. That was really unfortunate for me. I needed more there. I don't think it would have been hard for them to do it more too. So it's like really hard to even like find like an excuse. It felt lazy. I don't care. I'll say it. Sue me. It would have been interesting if it was a film reel. I don't know who would have filmed it. So I don't know. Maybe if it was like a security camera footage, that could have been pastel. Yeah, honestly, they could fix it still. And both Fiona's death and him beating up the mimic, Edwin sounds like he's just mildly upset. Yeah, maybe some more crying. Oh, I want sad men in my games. Make them sadder. Jesus. Okay. Yeah, Pibble. Yeah. None of us are. I don't think anybody's like truly like shade to the actor or anything. It's just not enough. It should have been. It should have. Oops, sorry. It should have been bigger. That's right, Jan. Rogue Grundy, Sadman on top. Oh. Evan, where is that's that toxic masculinity? Edwin won't even grieve. Come on now. Oh my gosh. Okay. We got to get back into this. But yeah.
I'm sure about is that at some point M2 is going to be trapped inside MCM. It will get cemented up only for us to go down into the basement of ruin and find it again. Now, I know what you're thinking.
I guess that does make sense to the person earlier who was talking about like back in MCM, and I was like, why does it have to be specifically MCM? But you know, you do have a point because those costumes are in there. You have a point. My bad.
These two characters don't look anything alike, but just take a look around first. We have a springlock scooper, wooden boxes filled with costumes like...
Oh my god, I didn't even notice that.
Take a look around first.
They're suggesting that this is the same thing as this? It's objectively not. I think that's a little silly. I don't know how I feel about this comparison. What do we think about this? This is this? This is this? But it's a mechanical arm. Right, but... sure. Could have been... This feels more to me like the upgrade station. Do you know what I mean? Like, this to me more resembles the upgrade station in Security Breach, which I know isn't an enclosed space. Same regime repurposed. Fair enough. I won't spend too much time on it. I get the call out. I understand what he's saying.
We have a spring-lock scooper, wooden boxes filled with costumes like crows, elephants,
That,
and lions, the
he
similar
said.
flooring and wood panel walls
This too.
with lights hanging from them. Everything we're seeing at MCM matches stuff that we saw underground when we encountered the Mimic in Ruin. We can also find endoskeleton pieces deep within MCM from when Edwin was experimenting trying to create the Mimic. And if you look closely, some of them don't really match the current version of the Mimic, but they match the endoskeleton of the Mimic that we find in Ruin. My guess is that in the lead up to it being cemented, or even during the cementing up of MCM itself, it ended up getting damaged, or some of the pieces just stopped working over time, and so it replaces its parts one by one. We've already seen it replace its legs, so what's an arm, or a torso, or a head? Finally though, the Mimic in Ruin, it acts just like the M2 we see in Secret of the Mimic. It's mimicking a young boy, Gregory. It's wearing mascot costume.
Blue Star, what's objectively false? False? Hold on, I want to know. What's objectively false? The Glamrock seems somewhat similar to Murray's spring locks. Guess I'm a person. I would. I think that it's pretty. I think the blueprints kind of sell the idea that the Glamrocks are using an upgraded version of that technology, because they're also supposed to be able to fill. The Ruin Mimic doesn't have that arm. Okay. Got it. Yeah, I think he's just saying that I think he's just saying that the Mimic would have had access to parts that he could have used that would not necessarily be, that would allow him to look differently from game to game. But fair enough. Tom is just saying things. He may be sleep deprived. He may be sleep deprived. Let me like listen to it again.
A torso or a head. Finally though, the Mimic in Ruin, it acts just like the M2 we see in Secret of the Mimic.
This is where I'm a little messed up. Now, I don't disagree with this necessarily. I don't disagree with this necessarily. Okay. Okay. I think in my head I'm going, but we didn't fix him. But obviously, if we didn't fix him, then he wouldn't be acting like David. Gregory is a different kid. I'm getting it. I think I'm pulling it together.
It's mimicking a young boy, Gregory. It's wearing mascot costumes, and it's being violent towards humans. It even walks in a similar fashion and gets its hand stuck in an elevator. Now, that last one doesn't strictly make the two characters the same. Anyone can get their arm stuck in an elevator. But the fact that Steelwool programmed that in, along with all the other things we've talked about, it seems like they're trying to tie together these characters and this area.
I'm sorry, but like, obviously. I mean, they better. They're both the Mimic.
Pizzaplex, and by association FNAF 6, was built on top of MCM, locking away all of its inventions down here, including M2 itself. I mean, we know that Fazbear isn't against saving some cash by building on top of previous establishments, and there's one text log directly from Willie A himself that tells us that he owns the land which MCM stands on. But that's only one of the Mimics answered for. What about M1? Well, to start with, she's just chilling inside a computer. Yeah, it seems that not only was M2 a copy of M1's programming, he also put M2 into the very same endoskeleton. Just look at them side by side. They're identical. Well, besides the legs, because, you know. And we don't see another one of these endoskeletons.
Jesus.
Walking around or even decommissioned. So all signs are pointing to Edwin removing the M1 program from the endoskeleton, putting M2 into the endoskeleton, and leaving M1 as just a program inside the computer that we find during the parachute ending.
It is nice to meet you face to face.
But as I'm sure most of you have realized, this isn't just any computer. This is the same computer that we found down in the basement of Ruin, the one that was running the MXES program.
Okay, so he agrees with my idea that it's the exact same computer, because not everybody's on that trek. that it's the exact same computer. And in fact, somebody told me that this one was bigger, and I went and compared them. I don't know how they're surmising that it's bigger other than the fact that we play as an adult in Secret of the Mimic, we play as a child in Ruin. Like, and so it looks bigger because we're looking at it from a different height perspective. But the 3D models of the two look exactly the same. And I just, like, okay, look. I'm not interested in having, like, a real argument with somebody about whether or not they're the same computer. But, like, they're the same model of computer. You know what I mean? Like, the models are the same. And telling me that the models are not the same is crazy because I literally went and found them and I looked at them and I turned them around, I did it. Yeah, the only things that's different is one says MXES and one says F10 and 4. I don't mind there being two computers that look exactly the same, but telling me that that they don't look the same is crazy. Like, I'm sorry, but they do look the same. Like, the models are the same. The place you put the cords in are the same. The two screens that are on the top are the same, and the only difference is the MXES one is the screens are broken, which make it look older, like it's been moved around and stuff. Anyway, I'm just like, if there are two different computers that were built separately from each other, there'd be no reason for them to look the exact same. Anyway, that's all I'm saying.
Digital genie bunny that is keeping M2 locked away underneath the pizzaplex.
Digital genie
Fiona
bunny?
is MXES? Has MXES actually been the M1 mimic? Like,
MXES right panel is different from F10? Give me a second. If you're gaslighting me, I'm gonna lose my mind. We do learn what MXES stands for. Or, not Secret of the Mimic. Ugh. Ruin. Which is... Like, be so for real with me right now. I'm not pulling up the full 3D model at this time, so I'm not in the mood. If you're talking about the, like, one has tape on it and the other doesn't have tape on it, is that what you're saying? Anyway.
we first suspected when we...
How long have I not been on the video? Okay, hopefully not long. But yeah, I just, they had to have, I don't know, they had to have, like, built the computers at the exact same time or something. I don't know why they look the exact same. I think that feels a little crazy to me.
Saw the trailers for Ruin. I actually got asked about this during the theory crafting livestream we did immediately after our GT Live playthrough, which is what inspired me to do this episode in the first place. So thanks for showing up and being a part of that if that was you. At the time, it stumped me, but now that I've actually had some time to think about it, I believe I do have an answer. And that answer is... not quite. Honestly, it just doesn't make sense for Fiona to be a big blue bunny. Now, yes,
Well,
I know
yeah,
what series
obviously.
we're talking about. FNAF rarely makes sense, but hear me out. We've always talked about...
Were there people who genuinely thought that, like, she took on the persona of the rabbit? That's nuts. Sorry.
how the Fazbear characters tend to be
MXES
used
doesn't
as
act
symbols
anything
of
like
violence.
Fiona.
Freddy tends to be
Like
representative
F10
of Henry,
Fiona.
for example. But in this game, we're also shown that Fiona was the one who designed Foxy and Chica. So if something is meant to represent her, it's more likely going to be one of those two. In my opinion, most likely Foxy. He was originally a puppet and she was a puppeteer. But Bonnie has always represented Afton. Afton was the reason Edwin was locked away in the R&D department and in his home, working on the new restaurant concept, keeping him away from his family, his son, which led to his death and eventually to him creating a violent and destructive mimic. So rather than MXES being a representation of Fiona, it's far more fitting that it's a representation of Afton. This new mimic has taken on part of Edwin's personality, the violent part, and is now being kept locked away by another blue rabbit. Like father, like son. But the real reason I don't think they're one and the same is because of the parachute ending. During it, we have to activate something called Cradle.exe. We first hear about what this...
Here we go. Mechanical X-Form experimental storage. And it does say number 1. Like, I guess my thing is just that, like, if there are two computers, they're both still, right, they're both still the mechanical X-Form experimental storage is. Just one of them has the M1 program in it. And theoretically, the other one just doesn't.
Cradle is from one of the text logs. A handful of these logs seem to be addressed to Edwin and have a subject line written in binary, like a computer program trying to communicate, i.e. M1. One of these specifically asks Edwin to consider building the Cradle if he won't fix M2's programming, and provides him with the blueprints for it. She describes it as a computer, bigger than anything he's built before, which sounds familiar on its own, but if you stop just before executing Cradle.exe, you can see that it has a description. Mechanical X-Form Experimental Storage. MXES. MXES.
X-Form is nuts. We were never gonna guess it. How dare they give us an unsolvable puzzle because X-Form isn't a word. Drive me crazy.
Was actually M1's idea. But then if MXES is a separate program designed by M1, why does she end up on the same computer? It's because of what MXES stands for. I've already mentioned it stands for Mechanical X-Form Experimental Storage. The word there you may not be familiar with is X-Form. Simply, it's just programming shorthand for the word transform, i.e. it's an experimental way of storing or keeping locked away a transforming machine. Makes sense. However, there is a little more to it than that. In programming, the transforming that X-Form refers to is an object's position, rotation, and scale. Again, all things we understand about the mimic's transforming abilities, but the key is how those transformations are applied. You see, X-Forms are hierarchical, meaning transformations applied to a parent X-Form affect all of the objects assigned to that parent, like they're its children, if you will. M1 was the first mimic, the original, so it needed to be on the same machine as MXES to act as the hierarchical X-Form for M2. M1 has also taken on the role of Fiona, while M2 is...
The MXES doesn't contain a physical MXES, assuming X-Form is relating to the physical mimic. Wait, sorry. Assuming X-Form is relating to the physical mimic is a hasty generalization. Genuinely, 24. Generally. Yeah, like child nodes. Yeah, the MXES doesn't contain a physical mimic, but its purpose was to, I guess... The implications that Edwin was struggling, but somehow was able to afford the massive amounts of floppy disks required to hold the whole personality. That is like a crazy... I'm just like, who's paying for all this, frankly? So, okay. So this is potentially something that, like, it's a matter of, like, I don't have enough information. And so I would easily just see this mechanical X-Form experimental storage as in... to suggest that it's not physically storing the mimic, but it is meant to create boundaries for the physical mimic. So it's experimental storage in the sense that it wouldn't be able to physically hold him somewhere, but programmably, like if it's the parent program, it can, if it's have, I'm sorry, I'm so stupid, but like I'm not literally stupid, but like I'm not savvy enough to use the words that would probably make the most sense to use here. I'm not good at efficiently explaining this. But I think, if correct me if I'm wrong, but is Tom not just suggesting that M1 needs to be able to communicate with M2? And so it's not it's obviously not a physical storage. It's experimental storage, because the idea is that the computer is able to communicate with M2 and thus store it with those boundaries that it's creating in the Cradle program. Right? Like, maybe if I could, I mean, honestly, the way that he has it drawn here makes a lot of sense to me. Like, M1 is here, and then everything else is down here. And so, she needs to be running the Cradle program to allow, or to keep these guys in check. Pardon. There's an emergency vehicle. What Glitchtrap/Helpy does in Ruin really feels like M1 trying to free M2. Yeah, which would mean the motivations have changed, right? Objectively. They're able to communicate already. She specifically says it won't listen. Right, and so would the Cradle program not, like, is the Cradle program not what's supposed to fix that part? The unruly nature of it all? Or maybe they're trying to do something with programming that can't be done because there is something supernatural at play here. But, I mean, okay. So what would X form stand for if not the mimic itself? Yeah, Jan, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, I don't have an answer for that. You know, yeah. Blue Star, don't think the Cradle program was the computer M1 was talking about. Super fair. M2. Okay, fair enough, Evan. Yeah. Yeah. So, just odd stuff. I think that they had to have known what MXES stood for at the beginning. So the Cradle itself is the X form. The Cradle is the parent function, and the multiple storages, like 1 and 2, are what it transforms along. Oh, interesting. Iron, also fair. I do technically have a rebuttal to that, but it's not worth it. Anyway, okay.
Like they're its children, if you will. M1 was the first mimic, the original, so it needed to be on the same machine as MXES to act as the hierarchical X form for M2. M1 has also taken on the role of Fiona, while M2 is supposed to be David, Fiona's child. Again, fitting nicely into that hierarchical programming setup. The parent is there so that MXES can help control the child. MXES can apply something to M1 that will automatically control M2. But clearly the program was never installed. Edwin built the Cradle computer and put M1 Fiona into it in order that the MXES program could use her to control the child and keep it locked away, but MXES isn't actually installed until we come along during the parachute ending.
Are these the canon drawings of the characters? Yes, these are being pulled directly from the game. There are portraits of Fiona, Edwin, and David in the game. That's what he's pulling from.
Eventually, Fazbear came along and collected the Cradle in a Fazbear van like—
Okay, but this Tom has to explain. Because this says MXES on it and not F10, F10, 4A. Or whatever. I'm in 4, jeez. Like, you have to, I think if you're gonna say this, and yes, Theory, I know, I see the 3 drawers down at the bottom, but and maybe it is on the other side of the computer. Like, that's the thing. I did a 360 in with the model, and it doesn't say anything on the other side, but like, why would they really actually put that on there? Yeah, it's been fixed. But like, when do we fix this? I don't know. I'm sorry. I wish we had seen this process. To me, it makes sense that they're the same computer. Other people are saying that based on the way that the messages are written, that there are definitely two computers. I, in ways, understand it, but the fact that we see it traveling like this, it feels like it, and oh, Road Grundy, I fully agree. I don't understand. I wish people would not use that portrait of her, but it is what it is. There's a number pad on the MXES in ruin. Isn't. Yeah. I don't remember how this pops out of the machine in Help Wanted to. But man, like, I don't know. Like, there's possibility that we could see the F10 on the other side. Here's me. I'm thinking in my head that I just wish they would show us. I wish they would just show us. I don't think this needs to be a mystery. It seems like a silly thing to make unclear. That's why, to me, I'm like, we shouldn't overcomplicate it. We shouldn't overcomplicate it and just let the freaking thing be the same computer. If they're not going to show it to us, that there's two different ones, or, you know, like, literally show us. I understand what people are saying about the messages. I'm just saying literally show us. Make them look mildly different. Like, this is what I said about the white tiger thing. Like, stupid. Like, it's a dumb thing to be showing us, like, red herrings on. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Like, I think it's silly. I don't want to be having debates with people about whether or not this is the same computer. Like, that is a silly thing for me to have a debate about. Talking about, and let me talk to you about what I don't think is a silly debate, just so you understand where I'm coming from here, like, contextually. Talking about the footprints outside of Midnight Motorist and how many toe prints are on there, I don't think that's a stupid debate. I don't think that's a stupid debate. That's a debate I'm willing to have with somebody. Okay, you know what? The character doesn't have 3 toes. Why? Scott could have just as easily given it 4 toes. Okay, fine. Let's go. Honestly, with a lot of the animatronics, I'm like, you know, it wouldn't have made a footprint like that. Fair enough. Let's go. You know, there are a lot of little details, like the buttons and all that good stuff, talking about, like, different versions of these animatronics based on those, like, visual differences. The whole debate we had about, is Roxy the same Roxy, before we had the answer about the faceplate being added and Help Wanted to. That was all valid to me. Even the Prototype Freddy thing. Well, actually, Prototype Freddy thing might actually be another example of exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's missing its head, and everything in me wants to say that it's the same Freddy from Security Breach, but why does Gregory's not have Prototype on the foot, but this one does? That may be another example of what I'm talking about, where I'm just like, what are we doing? Exactly, Jan. But does this being a mystery seem silly? Like, this just doesn't seem to need to be a mystery because they've given us so much information about it. Do I care massively if there are 2 computers that look the exact same and one of them says MXES on it and the other one says Fiona on it? No. No. But it doesn't need to be that way, frankly. Yeah, Road. Yeah, Road. Yes. The footprint thing is a necessary puzzle piece in solving Midnight Motorist. This is not necessary to solve anything other than, is it 2 computers or 1 computer? So I don't really care, necessarily. But when Tom is talking about this and saying that they are the same computer, when I know other people are saying that they are not the same computer, that's when I need, like, okay, well, tell me why they're the same. Visually, I'm already seeing it. I'm not confused about that. But obviously, we have one glaring issue here. So I just need a little bit of information. I just need a little bit of something, something. And it is objectively odd, right, that in Help Wanted 2, it's got a keypad on it, but definitely in Ruin, there's like a box here where the cables would come out. There's like a little area here where you would put cables in, but there are no cables in it. Which is the other thing, is in MXES, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no cables plugged in. So it's kind of odd that it's even like working. I don't know. I don't know. I would have to go back and, I don't know. I just gotta go back and watch more gameplay of Ruin. And I need to find those out of bounds people who are really looking around again. Alright, anyway.
Saw in the Help Wanted 2 update.
Oh no, I'm gonna go back a little bit actually.
Programming setup. The parent is there so that MXES can help control the child. MXES
That's the
can
idea.
apply something to M1 that will automatically control M2. But clearly the program was never installed. Edwin built the Cradle computer and put M1 Fiona into it in order that the MXES program could use her to control the child and keep it locked.
Real quick. What I was saying is there's this like area for cables on the MXES machine too, but there's nothing plugged in.
Away, but MXES isn't actually installed until we come along during the parachute ending. Eventually, Fazbear came along and collected the Cradle in a Fazbear van like we saw in the Help Wanted 2 update, with MXES fully operational. It's at this point that I believe they separated these two programs, MXES and M1. The Cradle was then rebranded from F10N4 to completely MXES, like we see in the basement of Ruin.
Okay, hold on, it's showing us. I'm looking at the light panels.
From F10N4 to completely MXES.
Are the light panels different? Sorry. Someone mentioned it earlier, and I really do care, so. To compare.
M1. The Cradle was then rebranded.
It's a red light at the end,
F10
and then a
and
yellow, and then a
to
blue.
completely.
Hey, it is a different, light pattern, right?
MXES, like M1. The Cradle was then rebranded.
Assuming those don't change. This one ends with a red light, and the other one ends in a yellow light.
From F10N4 to completely MXES.
Which is something that Tom's probably not going to talk about.
Like we see in the basement of Ruin. And the M1 program was removed and likely stored like we saw in the Storyteller until they decided they needed it for video games.
Told us to scan it, said it would expedite the process. It was just junk, circuit boards and things like that.
Which, of course,
oh, well, hang on. Careful, Tom. Okay, this isn't Tom's fault. This is whoever, potentially Tom. So, chat, Tom. Don't say circuit boards and things like that and then hold up a floppy disk.
Said it would expedite the process. It was just junk, circuit boards and things like that.
Be careful, because people don't know. That's not a circuit board. Hopefully people would know, but this is a floppy disk. So, I mean, okay, this is all a visual anyway. It doesn't have to, but, you know, I'm just like, be careful.
Which, of course, leads to M1 taking over Fazbear's systems, corrupting the animatronics, and creating the storylines that we see in Help Wanted.
I know, but the animation was on circuit boards, not and things like that. Look, it's not
the process. It was just junk.
Circuit boards, lifted up on and things like that. If it's and things like that.
And things like that.
Which, of course, leads to M1 taking over Fazbear's systems, corrupting the animatronics, and creating the storylines that we see in Help Wanted, Security Breach, Help Wanted 2, and Ruin. This would all seem to line up with the previous theories I mentioned at the start of this episode, with Helpy actually being the M1 program controlling the entire Pizzaplex. It would also explain why M1 is able to stop MXES. They are no longer on the same system. MXES no longer has the hierarchical power to use M1 as an X form. But on that note, if MXES was M1's idea, why then is she actively stopping it? Helpy is literally helping Cassie get further into the Pizzaplex, teaching her how to stop MXES and how to free the Mimic. Well, it's because while MXES was her idea, it was never really her goal.
Try again, make another, and we can all be together.
I miss you, but I miss my child more.
I want him back. We must convince him to repair M2. That is all that I want.
In the text log about the cradle, M1 is trying to appeal to Edwin, asking him to make the cradle because it became clear he wasn't going to fix M2. But really, she wanted her child back. MXES was just a stopgap for her, a way to keep the mimic safe while she figured out a way to fix it without Edwin. That's why she faked the voice of Fazbear Dispatch and convinced Arnold to explore the manor and find the schematics for the mimic. It's so that she can fix it herself. And if people get hurt along the way, so be it. It's all a price worth paying so that she can get what she wants. Just like we see Helpy do to Cassie in Ruin, leading her to an almost certain demise just to shut down MXES and free M2. So that's it. We finally solved the story of Security Breach in Ruin. It's all about M1 Fiona trying to reconnect with M2, the robot David, and fix him so they can be a family again? Oh, I wish it were that simple, friends. But this is FNAF. There are, of course, complications with all of that. While we are being shown very clear motivations for M1 back in 1979, it doesn't mean that's strictly going to be the case going forward. It'd be very easy for us to go, oh, M1 is Fiona, M2 is David, end of story. But it's not like old-fashioned FNAF where these endoskeletons are possessed by the spirits of the original person. They are programs designed to learn and imitate those people. We're shown this with M2 throughout the game. It started as a copy of M1's program, then it's given David stimuli, then it learns to be violent, not because David was violent, but because Edwin was violent towards it. Then in Ruin, we see M2 mimicking Gregory's voice. Again, a new stimulus changing how it behaves. M1 is no different. There is a note that can be found in the basement of Murray's Costume Manor where you have to avoid the moon and collect the final collectible. It reads as follows, quote, "We were expecting. There were complications. Consciousness was lost for an undetermined time. Once I woke, we were all together and happy, a family. But something was different. I felt wrong somehow. Was I me? Corrupted file suspected." This moment being mentioned, the complications, the loss of consciousness, we've heard about it before. Or should I say, we've read about it. This is Fiona's story. Just not the one from Secret of the Mimic, but from Tales from the Pizzaplex. In it, Fiona gets pregnant, but there are complications and she dies during childbirth. The only difference here is that the writer wakes up and suddenly they're a happy family. The similarities to Fiona, along with the corrupted file, makes it sound like this is coming from M1 Fiona's perspective. She remembers dying in childbirth, but then suddenly is awake and part of a happy family like the Fiona from this timeline. Her memories are becoming conflated and confused based on other stimuli. How she's being infected with memories from the books is a theory for another day. The point is that
oh my god, is he actually going to try to make that point? How? How do you... what? Interesting. What an odd thought.
Is also susceptible to memory corruption and personality changes based on new stimuli, especially, it would seem, if they share a connection with her. Which brings us to the glitch trap in all of this. It's pretty well accepted at this point that glitch trap has actually been the mimic program this whole time, infecting Fazbear's systems and mimicking whatever it needed to. Helpy, VIP, the Glamrocks, and acting like a virus, infecting them all in order to take control. If M1 was purely Fiona, it wouldn't make sense for M1 to present herself as anything other than Fiona in some kind of digitized form. Probably a Foxy like we talked about earlier. But instead, we see an old school version of Afton's Yellow Bunny. Why? Because M1 has also been receiving other stimuli thanks to its inclusion in the creation of the Help Wanted VR game, as I alluded to earlier.
Told us to scan it. It was just junk. Circuit boards and things like that.
By having M1 circuitry used to build Help Wanted, the M1 program was fed information from the first set of games in this franchise, learning all about the Yellow Bunny killer that would lead kids into the back room and kill them.
I hate this. And this is not just a Tom thing. This is something that people have said before. It does not make sense for Glitch Trap to be only having information from the games when it ends up doing something that none of the games ever did, and wearing a costume that none of the games ever showed us. There is no other instance in any of the games presented to us in the Help Wanted VR experience that look like Glitchtrap looks. And if it's a virus and was never a physical thing, it would not need to hand stitch a suit. This is what I've talked about. I don't know why it makes more sense to people that Glitchtrap is trained on the games than it being able to have just literally seen something William Afton did. Like, I agree with a level of it, like, where I can get on board to a point with it where it starts being extra active because it's being exposed to this stuff, or it's finding a way through. It feels familiar. I don't know, something. But, like, yeah, there's not even a bunny costume, right? And I don't mind it making its own thing, right? Its own little costume or whatever. But that would still have to have been something that a physical mimic at some point did. Because it's not logical for the computer to do it. I always assume that Glitchtrap looks like that if Mimic made the model, because he made the suit based off the Fredbear's Spring Bonnie poster design we see in Secret of Mimic. Well, and that's fine, right? But that poster... Correct me if I'm wrong, that poster's not in any of the games from Help Wanted VR, right? We don't see the Spring Bonnie posters until Security Breach Ruin? So, I just feel... How does Glitchtrap know about the what in Help Wanted 2? Golden Freddy, sorry. Yeah. It's just... Yeah, the Mimic is older than the games. But, like, if it was exposed to new stimuli, it would then try to make itself an approximation of the Bonnie that we see in the FNAF games, which is objectively, like, dilapidated. We don't ever see a clean Spring Bonnie in the games. Ever. Unless you count FNAF World. Unless you count the FNAF 4 minigame with Crying Child, which isn't a part of the VR experience. Yeah, it's not really even an animatronic suit. It's like a human suit. Terminal, I like that idea. I like anything that I just think that, like, saying that it's just trained on the VR games feels silly to me. It just feels silly to me. There's not a specific reason why it would latch on to William as opposed to Freddy or the puppet or any of the sister location animatronics. Like, why William Afton? Why did it pick that? Like, it already has William Afton stimuli in it when it's put into the thing. It's already a virus when it goes in. Everything starts acting weird the moment that happens. I think it just makes more... I just think there are other things that make more sense to me. I'm not against it being able to get... in my thought process is if it's already got William Afton something in it. I won't be specific about what that is. Something. I like the way he says stimuli. Then it would make sense introducing it to a FNAF VR experience would awaken it, right? Would give it more power or more control over the situation, or at least would, when I say awaken, I just mean, like, that would prompt it to start doing more stuff. And so, like, it would actually make sense that then, okay, it's been introduced into this world, and what does it do? It recreates a scenario. of luring a child to the back rooms using an amalgamation of the assets it has access to lure a child. That is smart. I like that idea, that it's already exposed to William Afton's behavior, and then introducing William Afton behavior into a VR game all about, the darkest parts of the franchise, to then say, okay, that allows, it gives it a lot of stuff it's familiar with, and then it starts doing the last thing that it saw, or one of the last things that it saw, which was luring children into the back room. But yeah, so look, maybe it doesn't have to be 1-to-1. I can write my way out of this, right? And go, well, Steel Wool wanted to make a new design, and so Glitchtrap needed to look different, and so they had this idea that it would be this hand-sewn costume because that would look scary. And if that's the whole reason, then I can't argue it. You know what I mean? You can't argue like, well, they just did it for aesthetics. But I think that's, I would be frustrated with that outcome. And I can't, I'm not in control of what's true and what's not. But I don't like when people talk about the VR experience like it goes into the same things that, those original games went into, because it just doesn't. It doesn't. I really don't know what else to say. In no world would it have been fed, like I've said this in a video. Nothing about the VR game suggests that it was fed personal information about William Afton's motives and modus operandis. Right? Is that how you say it? How do you say that? Modus operandi? The way he acts when he kills someone. Iron James, it makes sense that the Mimic would see Afton use a handcrafted suit before the spring locks. And that's what I'm like, if he's free at the end of the game, he doesn't have to see much. The Mimic doesn't have to see much for this to work. The Mimic doesn't have to see much for this to work. All it has to see is William Afton wear the suit clean and lure a child into the back rooms. And not the back rooms. Hold on. Crossover. Does that make sense? I'm just like, okay, if we look at the Silver Eyes connections again, then we see a situation where a robot is turned off, but like, well, it's not really turned off. It's always learning, always watching, but it's like physically incapable of moving. And so the idea that there would be some other entity, right, whether it be a physical mimic or the computer or whatever, that was present and able to see this, and it would affect the way that it acted, but not be able to do, physically move in that moment, it would make sense that later, when it becomes a digital entity, that's the way that it would act. But anyway. Pretty silly for Glitchtrap's design to be different from the mixed suits, considering we literally have an entire game to show the kind of suits the mimics can wear. Fair enough, yeah. I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, if it's a digital entity, it doesn't have to sew a physical suit. I think it just makes more sense that it saw a physical suit somewhere. I don't know why else the digital entity would not just look like Springtrap in some capacity, because it just doesn't.
A family of children all killed by animatronics, and a father that wanted to put them back together. A father with the same goal as her. Someone willing to crack a few eggs to make an omelette. They're practically the same person, and so M1 accidentally makes them the same.
What? I don't know if I like that.
Person wearing the costume, kidnapping the kids we see in the newspaper in Security Breach's bad ending, and leading them into the back rooms during VIP. All of this explains why Security Breach's story felt like such a mess. And it's why no theorist could really have predicted what we ended up seeing in Secret of the Mimic.
I have to replay this. Hold on, I have to replay this. I'm very confused. Hold on, I'm very confused.
M1 program was fed information from the first set of games in this franchise, learning all about the yellow bunny killer that would lead kids into the back room and kill them, a family of children all killed by animatronics, and a father that wanted to put them back together. A father with the same goal as her, someone willing to crack a few eggs to make an omelette. They're practically the same person, and so M1 accidentally makes them the same person, wearing the costume, kidnapping the kids we see in the newspaper in Security Breach's bad ending.
What? I'm sorry, I'm struggling.
And leading them into the back rooms during VIP. All of this explains why Security Breach's story felt like such a mess. And it's why no theorist could really have predicted what we ended up seeing in Secret of the Mimic. Most of the theories I had were about Afton and Henry's parts in the story, because all signs left by Glitchtrap or the Pizzaplex in general were pointing towards Afton and his involvement with the Mimic. How else were we supposed to interpret a dining table scene with 5 characters clearly representing the Afton family in a room with post-it notes written in binary? But this is why Fiona, M1, was conflating her stories with that of the Aftons. Take a second look at that dining table scene. The magician we assumed was Afton, it's wearing a bow tie, something which, of course, matches Afton's famous yellow rabbit costume, but I mentioned in our last theory that within Secret of the Mimic, bow ties are really commonly associated with another character, Edwin. We pick one up off of his statue during Moon.exe.
That doesn't feel strong enough to me. If I hear it, I see it, I understand it, but I don't think that feels strong enough for me, because Freddy Fazbear, which is a Henry allegory or what, connection, not allegory, also wears a literal hat and bow tie, both. So if you were gonna say it looks most like somebody, it looks most like Freddy Fazbear.
Wearing it during his company portrait, his wedding photo,
yeah,
and
strategy,
his family
I would agree.
photo, and it's literally the logo of his company. Plus, Edwin was kind of a magician when you think about it, specifically when it came
Don't do that, Tom.
to technology. He developed things well beyond what should have been possible for the time, so much so that Fazbear hired him to work on their stuff and eventually bought the whole thing. And then there's the motherly character, the one at the head of the table, the one that we all naturally assumed must be Mrs. Afton, despite the fact she's never shown up in the games. Well, in the game files, that character model is called the Nanny Bot, which is what M1 was originally supposed to be.
I do like that.
And now M1 is in charge. Edwin wasn't going to fix things, it's up to her, and she has control of the entire Pizzaplex. She is now the one at the head of the table. This dining table now has characters that, yes, fit the Aftons, but the parents also bear a striking resemblance to her own family that she's trying to rebuild. And that drive to rebuild the family is still there. I already mentioned that Helpy's whole thing is trying to get Cassie down into the basement to stop MXES and free M2, but which family she's now trying to rebuild is obviously getting a little lost in the source. That's why we have 2 Glitchtrap disciples, Vanessa and Gregory, both of whom we've pointed out since the very beginning share a lot of similarities to the Afton children. And that's not even going into the similarities between David Afton and David Murray. Again, theories for another day. What we're seeing is M1 getting confused, mixing up storylines from her book persona and her newly found Afton persona.
The book thing is crazy to be pointing at right now.
Conflating the 2 ideas as one in the same. She's trying to rebuild the family she lost all the way back in the 1970s. But thanks to her use by Fazbear Entertainment to make a VR game, she's taken on too much of Afton's persona, and so is still driven to get M2 out of the basement, but who she believes M2 now personifies is completely messed up. Does she still think it's her son David? Does she think it's the other kid from the Afton lineup that's missing, Michael?
The other kid, jeez.
Or does she not even really know anymore? Is she just trying to free it because that core desire is there, but the meaning has gotten lost through all of this new stimuli.
That makes a lot more
The truth
sense.
is, that part is unclear right now. Any and all options are available to us. We just need to keep digging while also being aware that the DLC or sequel could drop in a year or so and change everything again. But speaking of digging a little deeper, regardless of who M1 thinks M2 is anymore, I do think we've been given the answer on how to stop both of them once and for all. It's
Okay. He's gonna go into that. Watch next week, right?
just gonna have to wait until next.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think this is overcomplicating something that doesn't have to be this complicated, but before we get on to some kind of game theory Tom hate train, I'm not about that. Like, let's be critical of the theory if we like do it, but like we can be critical of the theory without I don't like when you watch this from beginning to end and pull out like the stuff that you know obviously don't agree with for one reason or another. It's not like he doesn't have a through line here. It's not like there's not evidence here. It's not that. And it's not like he's not just building off of things that other people have said in the past anyway. So he's not like talking out of his butt here. So I don't want to go there with it. But I think we're overcomplicating, and I will get to comments in a second. I think we're... Thanks, Joshua. I think we're overcomplicating something that doesn't have to be this complicated. Yes, I agree that after so much time, and we've seen this in the Silver Eyes, and I'm going to keep pointing at the Silver Eyes because it's worth pointing at, and other, instances in this franchise, we've seen the longer that someone's spirit is, when we look at the supernatural side of things, it's like, the longer someone's spirit is trapped and like not able to move on, the more convoluted, it becomes more fused with the animatronic that it is, and so it starts to take on personality traits of the animatronic or whatever that it's attached to, even though that's not really maybe what it originally was, and there are ways to help it get its memories back and blah 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 blah, right? Those things. If we're looking at this from the technological side, we look to the Silver Eyes and say, and even Sister Location, let's go there too. The robot itself, the animatronic itself is confused, after so much time and does start to, like we see with Scrap Baby and everything, we've seen multiple instances of, programming and the spirit getting like enmeshed and motivations getting confused and things like that. If we're looking at this from the programming situation, right? If we're like, we'll cut the supernatural out because it doesn't really seem like Tom is looking at the world of like Remnant and things like that, which is what I would bring into play here, but I understand it. If we're just looking at the technological side of it, the programming side of it, being exposed to all this new stimuli, getting the story confused, right? Getting your timeline all mixed up. I don't think you have to do all of this stuff about, it sees Afton as similar to itself and things like that. None of that has to happen, right? It just has to be exposed to these other people. If it's just and for the record, where are we training it on Crying Child? Where are we training it on Michael in Help Wanted? Be so for real with me right now. Where are we actually training it on those characters within the context of the games? Okay? But all that being said, all it has to do is be exposed. All that this M1 program has to do is somehow be exposed to William's family and those children in any capacity, enough so that it knows that this is a familial unit, right? It is what it is. And what okay. Yeah, I'm going to let that go. But I almost went on a whole other tangent, but I won't do it. All it has to do is be exposed in some capacity to this family and this hierarchy, right? And notice that there is not a mom. We don't know where Mrs. Afton is. We don't know where she went, where she come from, where she go, Cotton Eye Joe. We don't know. But she's obviously not in the picture. Okay? And all it has to do is Smart House. See this family, dysfunctional, whatever, and say, there's no mother here. I need to be the family's mother. You know what I mean? All it has to do is suddenly know, oh, these children are gone. I want to be the mom of this family. And all it has to do is misconstrue the family it's been exposed to in its original family. Okay, all of it not really its family because we're talking about a robot here. All it has to do is flip-flop. Oops, thought that I was rebuilding just David. I've got all confused now. These are my kids. That's all it has to do. It doesn't have to see William caring about his children. It doesn't have to see him trying to bring his kids back to life. It was already programmed, or it was already acting like it wanted those things. So it doesn't need to witness William doing any of this stuff. It just needs to confuse the Afton family for its family. That's all it needs to do. That's it. That's it. It doesn't have to be that complicated. I think that's why I'm frustrated. I'm not frustrated is a strong word. I think that's where I'm disconnected. That's a better word. I think that's where I'm disconnected from Tom, because I don't think you have to delve into all the specifics. As long as the program knows that William's family is a family and wants to insert itself in that family, especially if there isn't a mother figure already there that it could get confused about, easy. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna scroll up and try to read you guys' comments. Okay, Blue Star. After a while, I think Afton fails due to his misunderstanding, but finds the classics are possessed. And since he doesn't know how to properly cause possession, he has to focus on the missing children's incident. Yeah, not a crazy thought. Yeah, one machine, mixed memories. Yeah, I think that's all it really has to be. I don't think it has to be all this other stuff. It just overcomplicates it. Personally think the one who says I will put you back together is Elizabeth. Interesting. I'm not going to read your comment, Everett, because I haven't watched John's theory yet, but there's no way Glitchtrap knows everything about Afton from Help Wanted. I would just agree, yeah. Miss Afton is actually just Fiona who cheated on Edwin after she saw him not give a crap. I will not move on seeing, I don't see Fiona as a cheater. I just don't see that. They would have to plainly let me know that happened. I believe FNAF World and Ultimate Custom Night are connected. Yeah, I would agree with that. The Fiona book thing coming into the games is a brain rot idea. The simple explanation is F10 thought Edwin was making M2. She is put into Mix's machine, and one Endo wrote the error note in the basement. Yeah. Yeah, I would have to agree. I think that's like an overcomplication of what that. I've seen other people theorize about it because they're right that the way it's speaking is as if Fiona died in childbirth. I understand that. But I think it's just as possible that there's just a memory, it's like its file is corrupted, like some memory is corrupted. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was because Edwin was lying about something that happened. I don't know why he would. I'm not saying that he did. I'm just saying that I could definitely see a situation where Fiona's memories, fake Fiona's memories are being rewritten by Edwin for some reason. I don't know why you would, but I could see something like that being the case. But I don't think we need to start suggesting that the world of the books is crossing over into the world of the games via corrupted memories and endoskeletons. That's odd for me. If that green chip in the baby is the mimic circuit board, does that make your theory credible? I don't know who you're asking that question to, Iron James. But, it is a question now, like, what's that circuit board? What's that about? But see, this is, okay, I just think that William continued Edwin's, experiments. I just think that makes more sense. And it would just have access, you know, the mimic would see things or be corrupted by William himself. And I just think that makes so much more sense. I just think it makes so much more sense for William to come across all of Edwin's research and just continue it. Maybe he moves into that house or something. Like, maybe that's why he builds on top of this, you know, place, or it's an ulterior motive or an additional benefit for him to work out of this space because he can just stay right there with all the stuff. I don't know, but like, I just think it makes so much more sense for William to corrupt the program himself as opposed to the other idea, which is that it all just remains dormant and unused until now. Seems odd. Seems so odd. Edwin does yell at F10 about sounding like Fiona as well, just like he does when M2 when it mimics David True. I think Tom really should have focused more on the memory of childbirth thing, or he should have cut it because it doesn't really relate to Fiona thinking the Aftons are their family. Agreed. Strategy. I think that's right. It doesn't make any sense. It seems like a silly thing to point at. I disagree with Yellow Eyes not being sincere about wanting to help. They're there to set up Happiest Day, and there's never been any... Okay, so that's about FNAF World. Nice, Evan. Hope your fuel is doing well. Okay. Oh, whoops. I keep accidentally opening up things I don't mean to open up. Okay. If the green chip is in baby, if the green chip that's in baby is the mimic's program, then has it now seen and learned about the after? Oh, Iron, smart. Okay, yeah. I think that would make a lot of sense, frankly. And the way that you're explaining it, Iron, is very similar to like what I would, you know, with the Silver Eyes connections. It goes right back into it. A message from Secret of the Mimic that's been bugging me was when, oh, this is Pibble Lover, was when a worker was claiming he heard Fiona and Edwin laughing about Fiona staging her death and that she survived. Like, was he just crazy? Or, well, he obviously heard, the worker heard Edwin and Fiona talking, but it was actually the Mimic, that Edwin was talking to as Fiona, but Fiona, F10 said, oh, you have to keep me a secret. M1 was like, you got to keep me a secret because people won't understand. So he was talking to her, but keeping her a secret, but they could still hear her through the vents. Yeah, Jan. And that's kind of my thought process, is that like William moves into that area, continues all the research and stuff, but he, you know, and I've made this thing before. I don't think that William wouldn't try to bring his kids back. It's not because he's like grieving and misses them, but because one, He could have just been influenced by Fiona to be like, did you know you could do this? And he's like, I can. And it's just this thing for him. Like, I totally think that he would just be fascinated with the concept of being able to bring somebody back to life. And I think the Curse of Dreadbear proves that to us. That, like, obviously there's an obsession with this recreating someone who is gone. And so William doesn't have to be a caring parent or, like, be, like, grieving and want to bring his kid back to life. And that very well could be why it doesn't work when he tries it. Because it doesn't work when he tries it. Especially in the Silver Eyes. Because he's not grieving. Because there aren't these strong feelings that would need to be there for it to work. And that's why it works when Edwin did it. That's why it worked when Henry did it. Was because of these supernatural elements that Tom and a lot of other people are kind of throwing out the window. When I think they're still there, it's just not haunting. It's not possession. It's remnant. It's emotions. It's agony. Whatever you want to call it. But that is what's giving these robots this excessive level of sentience that they really shouldn't have for the technology that was available in that time. And so that's why William fails over and over to really do what he set out to do. Because ultimately his heart's not in the right place, literally. And, you know, whatever, it is what it is. I don't have to be right about that. But to me, I think he could definitely be on the influence of, like, Fiona F10 being like, you can bring them back. And just being kind of obsessed with that thought. I can bring a kid back to life. I can bring someone back to life. But he clearly, in my opinion at least, he clearly skews this to immortality. He skews this away from being able to bring his kids back to life to being able to stay alive forever and not have to fear death anymore. Now, for what it's worth, the game does not give us that motivation for William ever. And I won't pretend that it does. You know, like, in some capacity, maybe there are allusions to the idea that potentially William cares about living forever. But I know that stuff is mostly set up in, like, the Silver Eyes and just, you know, these exterior pieces of media that don't necessarily, you know, obviously connect one-to-one to the games. So it's hard to apply those motivations. I get that. I understand it. I do. But I don't think it's off of the table for the William in the games to also have some level of those motivations. Anyway, I'm talking too much. And I also feel like I have hair in my eye, but every time I go to try to move it, it's not there. So if you see me playing with my face a bunch, it's because my brain is telling me that there's hair in my eye. Every time I turn around. Okay. Help Wanted 2 also emphasizes how the MCI are tied to William's memories with the memory plushies, and that the whole feels like Pappy's. Fair enough, yeah. Yeah. I'm not against the idea that William is trying to bring his kids back to life in some capacity. I just don't think that it is because he's grieving their loss. I would have to see that, I suppose. And I guess it's just, I don't know. There's so much of me that's like, I guess it's not impossible, but it seems so... Oh my gosh. I just, here's me. I just think I like my idea so much better. And I think I have to allow myself to live in the world where I can be wrong and say, well, the burden of proof is not on me at this point, right? I want to enjoy this franchise. It's up to my interpretation to a degree. And the thing that is the most narratively satisfying for me at this juncture, based on everything we've seen, is the idea that we know F10 is manipulative. We know F10 is obsessive. We know F10 wants a child. And so, I'll do anything to make it happen. And so the rest of the events of Five Nights at Freddy's being set in motion by F10's obsession, F10's desire for a child. The fact that it's Edwin's grief, that it's Edwin's shame, that it's all of these negative emotions and also love, right? But obsessive love potentially, you know, whatever, stuffed into the M1 program. The fact that the idea that that's the catalyst for everything that happens next is very narratively satisfying to me. To say that, you know, F10 does come across William. They find each other in some capacity. And I don't know, does F10 kill Crying Child and then communicate, I will put you back together? I don't know. It's just like, I'm just saying, like, I get a little lost when I talk about stuff for too long, but I just feel a lot more connected to the idea that F10 sets off this chain of events of being obsessive and wanting a child of her own to, you know, drive others to do things they wouldn't have normally done. Unless we're shown that he was always a murderer, why does he only kill kids after this one specific point? Well, yeah, I would say Blue Star, some of the answer to your question is just that not everybody thinks that Crying Child is the first death in the franchise. We definitely now know that David is technically the first death of the franchise. And the other thing is just that, like, okay, sorry. The other thing is just that, like, we just don't ever see William care about his kid. We just don't ever see it. So the reason that it's so hard for me to, like, go in that direction is just because Scott has never taken a moment out of his life to show us once in this entire franchise that sorry, I'm just gonna let you see Chibata. What are you doing, Muffin? Chibata, what you doing? I just think that it's a little, it's just, oh my god. Oh my god. I just think it's a little too, I just think it's a little too convenient. Or no, it's just a, I don't know how do I say it? How do I phrase? It's just a little frustrating, the idea, like, okay, well, yeah, William cared about his kids, except we never saw it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we cared about his kids, we just never felt the need to show you even one time that he did. Not even one time that he did. If you had shown me one time that he did, I wouldn't be able to say that he didn't. But right now, we have not been seeing one time that he did. Yeah, we barely know anything about the Aftons. So it's just hard for me. I don't like it's already enough that I feel like I spend a lot of time, like, speculating on a lot of these characters and their motivations and things like that. So I don't know. I feel like if there was ever a moment that Scott wanted us to get the idea that William is a sympathetic character, or was at some point a sympathetic character, that he would have just shown us. Does that mean I'm right? No. And that's an important thing. I don't think I'm right about that. I don't know. But I'm you know, moving with certain things in mind. But I don't think that means that I'm right. I'm sorry. I really feel like I have hair on my face. It's driving me crazy. It doesn't mean that I'm right, and I don't know if I'll ever know if I'm right. I would love for us to get that answer, but I also just don't mind it being a debate. Like, that's one of those things I'm like, you know what? Whether or not William cares about his kids, that's a good debate. That's a fine debate that I'm fine to have, and I'm interested in seeing what people come up with, you know, outside of that. But I'm very firm in my thought process that William did not care about his kid, and losing crying child was more of a failing on his part in the sense that it hurt his business, that it hurt his reputation in his community. True, Blue Star, yeah. Yeah, it's the way that he's portrayed in these games, right? But we don't know what his motivations were when he was killing these children. But I think we can theorize more about why William killed than we can on, you know, like who William was before he was a killer, because we just don't get a whole lot of that information. But at this what should I say? Sorry, I got distracted. Zeke, get out of the bathroom. Dog going to dig in the trash. I just already know. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? He's going crazy. Anyway. We don't know how methodical William is, or if it's all just he's a crazed lunatic. But I like to think that he has a method, or he has a goal in mind. But I really do like the idea that F10 is the catalyst. And I don't know, this might be something that I need to just flesh out into a video to be better about communicating on. We don't know, but I like the idea that William was just, you know, a businessman and wouldn't have been a murderer or anything like that had he not found F10 and it got in his head, you know? And then he doesn't have to be like, oh, grieving, sad father, but he can be someone who's upset. I don't think he would be not upset that his kid died. Like, that's the thing, is just like, no, I hope that nobody thinks that when someone says like will care isn't the thing, just that we think that he was completely numb or happy even that his child died. Like, thank goodness, that's one less kid to worry about. I think he's a human, but I don't think his actions were born out of grief, but out of like, it's like I think it would make more sense if F10 got in his head and was like, you know, you can bring it back. You can bring him back. And that thought is what haunts him and what he becomes obsessive over. Because he's told that he can't. You know? By now, he would know something about Edwin, right? You know, know something about the mimic, know something about Fiona, know something about all of that. There's no way that stays a secret. You know, I know it's the secret of the mimic, but I can't believe that William would never find out based on the fact that he owns the land. He owns the company. He owns it all by the end of it. I swear, where is this hair? It's attached to my glasses. Okay, well, I'm not a psycho today. Fair enough, Seeker. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. But like, yeah, fair enough. And I won't take away from anybody. I don't want to, at this point, I'm like, you know, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, if you think that William cares about his kids, I don't care. If you think that William is a psychopath, I don't care. I am going to tell my version of events, and I think that's just that. But I love the idea that William becomes obsessive over the idea of bringing Crying Child back because F10 tells him he can. Because he then learns about what Edwin was doing. You're not being annoying about it. I don't think anybody in chat's being annoying, if that's fair. Or if I need to say that. Nobody in chat right now is being annoying at all to me, in any capacity. Yeah, I just like the idea that he becomes obsessed with the thought because he learns about what Edwin did. He learns about what happened with David and Fiona and everything. And he goes, I could I could do this. I'm gonna do what Edwin couldn't. And so I think that what Tom is doing here is just over, what's the word? He's doing too much in broad terms. I don't know what the word is. Like, overcomplicating it is correct, but there's like a very specific like word that I'm looking for that I can't think of right now. But he's like, it's too much. He's, you know, he's got hats on hats here. He doesn't need, no, not overanalyzing it. It's like over manufacturing it, but that's not the right word. I feel like it starts with an M, but I could be really wrong about that too. But don't worry about it. But he's, you know, it's just he's adding details. It takes away from what his overall message is that I actually like. And I think that if he pared it down, if he did a little more editing of his thought process here, and this is, I just want to say this because I really do revere all the work that Tom and MatPat and etc., all these people do in this space. I think that's really important. I think that I think that's necessary. And I don't want to discount it. But when you start, you know, he's trying to weave a whole lot right here at the same time, when I think you can just make it very simply. And you know, like I said, pare it down to its basic functions. Yeah, it's overly, yeah, it's convoluted. It's unnecessarily convoluted. That's a good way to put it. I'll remember the word at like 2 a.m. and be really mad at myself about it, but just kidding. But where it, like, really what we're saying is that M1 is the catalyst. Yeah, Blue Star, I guess so. Yeah, it's like I said, it's like hat on a hat. You know, like it's just like you've gone past the point. Like where you lose people. If you pare down your ideas and you kind of just present something a little more simplified, then people have a better way to latch on to what you're saying. When you try to like over manufacture is like basically what I mean. I don't know here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Again, it's one of those things that I'll definitely remember later, and I'll be mad at myself that I can't remember it, and that I couldn't remember it here. But like, he's trying to weave too much into a web. I'm gonna skip the ads for you guys. Yeah, no, none of what you are saying is what it is, but it's okay. And I'm, you know, I may not have the first part of the word right or something, but yeah, exactly, Iron, exactly. Like, I think you could pare it down and just say, William found this technology, William found the things that Edwin left behind, that he didn't want anyone to find, that you know, he was regretful of, very similarly to Henry, in the Silver Eyes, but not the same, right? But still not the same. And said, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this real. But he can't. He's unsuccessful, right? The closest he comes is the Fun Times. And the only reason Baby works is because she freaking eats Elizabeth, basically. You know? And then, consequently, the agony is there. Now, we have to look at the MCI at that point, right? And say, like, well, the way that I just phrased it almost seems like he figured it out from Elizabeth. But I don't, that is also a timeline anomaly. Yeah, Seeker, basically, right? Like, so and it could very well be that he tries. Okay, because F10 would know that potentially the David thing only worked because David died. I don't know. Now I'm overdoing it. But I'd have to think about this more and like really like play it out. But And honestly, I think this could work if you believe Will care or not. And I think that's a good point. If you think that William does care about his kids or doesn't care about his kids, Fiona can still be the catalyst. And then that adds a layer of intrigue to Bellora's character, I think, because Bellora's character, at least the way that she sounds to me, very much reminds me of F10. Index, I would have to agree with you in a way, which is sad because I'm still really of the mind that I wish that Henry was just Edwin. You know, I wish that we were just doing that. I understand that we're not, and maybe they're gonna do something with Henry's character. I don't know, but I really wish that it was just Henry, and I like if I could manipulate something about the FNAF like lore, I would go into Scott's brain and make him make Edwin Henry in the games. Obviously, it would have to change how the story played out. Obviously, it would have to change how the story played out, so it wouldn't be able to be the same story anymore. But I think if you pare down what game theory is saying, just to say that F10's obsessive wanting to be a mom for reals motivations led it to be a catalyst for things in the future. I think if you just pare it down to that, I agree. I think I agree with that, and I think I would like to build off of it. Yeah, Evan. Yeah. I think so. I'd really like to make. I think I want to like. I think I want to make a video of just like game theory's wrong but not kind of a video where I really do refine what I'm saying here, because I am definitely like not getting it out correctly, and I feel like at this point I'm just repeating myself over and over again. But just paring this down to like, you know, let's not worry about the books right now. I mean, he has more things he's going to say about that, so my thoughts could change the next, you know, 2 videos that he's got coming about this. But I think paring it down to just obsessive mom character, you know, robot ends up being the catalyst for other people, or for what William ultimately does. Yeah, 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 yeah. I think if you pare it down to that, I think that makes a lot of sense. And all the memories getting jumbled up and things like that, I think he's onto something definitely there. I think that makes a lot of sense. The idea that over time Fiona is just confused about who exactly the family she's trying to bring back is. I also could definitely see a world where William just convinces Fiona that she is his quote unquote wife, or he created her, that, you know, and that is her family. I think you could go a lot of directions with it. I think you really could. I think I need to. I had just so much work. Every time I think about making a video, I'm like, ugh, but I have to do so much work. Even if I love making videos and stuff, I still just get in my head. Yeah, Blue Star, yeah. And that's the other thing is I really do. I really do want to not stop pushing the idea that there is like a remnant something at play here. I do wish Tom dove a little deeper into them taking M1 out of MXES, because I'd be curious to know what he thinks they did with that programming. Interesting. I do like essentially a backwards version of what he said. Fiona is the one who wants to bring her family back, but William's memories makes her think the family she wants to bring back are the Aftons. Yeah. Yeah, Blue Star. And that's me. I'm just like I hear people, and there is a very valid argument to say that there is no possession going on in the FNAF timeline, and we were just wrong about that. And that it was just, that really was just like rumors and people being crazy and stuff like that. But I think there's enough evidence to the contrary as well. And I'm not ready to let go of that. And I don't know if I ever will be. And I think I will just continue to theorize on the grounds that possession in some form or fashion exists in the world of Five Nights at Freddy's. I knew what you meant, Blue Star. Yeah. The good thing is, Tom is going to do a live talk back after all of this on August, 15th, 16th, like you said. Well, I'll just pop the video back up and we can see it. Jump scare. August 16th, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, luckily he's going to do this. I feel like a number of our, maybe more confused positions on this, maybe they'll be cleared up by then, and maybe this will be even further ability for us to get everything cleared up. And the direction that Tom's going will make more sense to us by the end of all that. But I think I'm just going to keep theorizing on the grounds that Remnant is at play, and strong emotions have the ability to be a part of all of this. I feel like there's a lot I want to revisit, like the security breach family scene and seeing how it reframes if it was F1 orchestrating it. Yeah. I know. That's the fun thing, is that we get to go back in new contexts and reanalyze with the new information. So I think that's that. Is that a good place to stop, do we think? You guys have been so fantastic in chat. I can't say it enough that the FNAF fandom, say whatever you want about it, but you're so insightful. And I appreciate reading what other people have to say, because while my brain would like to be stubborn about a number of things, reading what you guys say does force me to take a step back off of my like my thought process or whatever, how my interpretations, and go like, well, really, what is wrong with another interpretation of it? Really, what is wrong with that? And it allows me to say, like, maybe nothing. So maybe finding things to say that work regardless of whether or not some other little piece of the puzzle is this or that, maybe that's the way to go. And I like theorizing from that vantage point. I think the only thing that I don't want to move on at this juncture is the idea, right, that Remnant is not there, or that part of it is not there. I think we have a lot of evidence to suggest that it is. So, let's go here. Okay, I think you can place whatever thing scares you more into the lore. Children being trapped in eternal memories of their end. AI taking programming too far. You decide. Evan, that's a very good point. I like how everyone keeps making Edwin look like this perfect saint that can do no wrong. My guy didn't say it, but he somewhat admitted to killing teenagers in springlock suits. Good point, Pibble. I definitely have dissed Edwin. And taken some flack for it, too. People did not like that I said he wasn't good to his wife. Iron James, yes. Basically, Iron James, yes. Basically. Interesting, Joshua. I don't think that Fiona's death was faked. I think she died. But yeah, I think that's a good place to stop. You guys have been great. One more time, just for anybody who didn't come in at the beginning, if you weren't here, I opened up some Sanchi blind boxes. These cute little tickets. I opened these up at the beginning of the stream. There's 6 that you can find. There's a blue Freddy, a purple Bonnie, a yellow Chica, a red Foxy, a pink Cupcake that's a rare, and then there's a secret super rare. And the first one we opened was Foxy. The second one we opened was Foxy, but the first one we opened was, in fact, the super rare Golden Freddy. And I will let you guys take an up-close look at that one more time, because holy smokes, how cool was that we got to See, the super rare cannot believe my luck. I have never been this lucky in my life. I have never been this lucky in my life. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys that before I left today. What a gem that was. I've had a lot of fun. It is very hot in my house, and I need to pee. So I think this is as good a time as any to say goodbye. Does this mean we get to go to the... Honestly, I don't know what this means. I hope it means something crazy. I don't think though. I think it just means that I get a super rare ticket. The thing on the Sanchi website does say that, like, oh, if you get a rare one, just know that you're, like, holding on to something very, very special or whatever. I'll read exactly what it said. It said, if you get the super duper, if you're super duper lucky, you may just find the ultra extra special Golden Freddy ticket. I usually save those for my very best friend, so having one is a pretty big responsibility, but I think you can handle it. So they said it's a big responsibility. So, I have a big responsibility on my hands. And if I ever need $100, I can just send this to Nara Raven, so. If I'm ever strapped for cash, I know I have something of value. I don't know where I'm going to put this. Maybe I should make like a shadow box and like frame it or something. I am too happy about that. And I think this one, I think I'm going to add it to my Five Nights at Freddy's hat. So. Alrighty. Thank you all for being here. This was really fun. And I'm really glad that I took the time to watch the video. I need to do this more. So, shadow box would look great. Okay. Okay. You guys have a great rest of your Wednesday. Okay? Okay. Bye. Okay, bye. Okay, bye.